visited Jamestown, a town prominent to Ghana's history and fight for independence. The story of Jamestown began with the erection of James Fort by the British in 1673 to 1674. The British fort was the last European trading post to be erected in Accra.
This is the James Fort, built in 1673 by the British to serve as a trading post. Now, until 1998, this place was still serving as a prison here in Accra. And this inscription you see right there, James Fort Prison, was this signpost way back in the colonial era. And it still served that purpose as a prison until 1998. Now, we're going to go in there, go through the underground tunnel that served as the way through which these slaves were taken to stay with us.
It was the smallest of the three forts and was built about 1.5 miles from the Dutch fort. The site for the fort was leased in 1672 to the Royal African Company by the Gamanche Ogankoi. King James I of Great Britain granted a royal charter to the company to build the fort and give permission to name it after himself. A lighthouse was built near the James Fort in 1871. It was rebuilt in 1892 and a breakwater was added to it at the beginning of the 20th century. The lighthouse still offers an incredible panoramic view of surrounding areas.
British won't be a if I shall know Baba, we are going to poor libation. Jamestown, you know about leadable. No cafe, no piano. But you know,
you come around.
You come around. If you are any talk about Gwina, no, come Gwina. So come no about Lolly me here. Come meeting. No Jamestown be any guide or Blofume can be fair.
They formed the first man-made harbor on the coast and confirmed Jamestown's status as an important export center for slave trade in Ghana.
This is the underground that actually leads straight to the shores of the sea, and then directly the slaves are then sent to their slave masters. So this is this path, or this underground is actually what serves as a pathway. So we're going to get in there and then we see exactly how it's like.
You want to go? Yeah. Okay.
We're down here. This is the underground, leads straight to the seashore, and then understand what happens is that they just get onto the ship. I mean, the slaves get onto the ship. Really warm here.
Potable water was brought into the city in 1914 and is commemorated by a monument near the James Fort.
So what
she's saying is that this particular well, which is a connection to the underground tunnel that you saw us right earlier in there, that actually served as that particular tunnel through which the slaves were taken through to the castle, and then sometimes straight to the ship, and then is another entrance in transporting the slaves. Now she tells me that when water is stored in there, The water is so clean that they're able to use it.
Te nye fio ten nye beleo. I mean, te no fio ten nye bote o mi.
Abote emi ko tun. Wo ke wo gbele na, wo ke gloga, wo ke pamfin gloga na ke wo mi na yo.
No normal bule no.
We ko ene mi ko.
Ni nyumbo no ne bote o mi alo nu ade nche.
Na ba abote na nu ele nche.
Kojo Yankah is the author of the book From Jamestown to Jamestown.
I created this whole book and all the content and everything around Jamestown. I didn't know that this was what was going to happen, with this book, because I started from Jamestown, Virginia, on a very innocuous note, and particularly when Jamestown, Virginia also read a proclamation to honor me, to honor the book, and to honor the relationship between Jamestown, Virginia and Jamestown, Accra. I thought it was great.
This town has been a hotbed for political activity dating back to 1673 when the Gamanche Okaikwe made political decisions that had profound impact on the fortunes of Jamestown till date. The two major political parties in Ghana, the NPP and the NDC, have strong roots in the area. Jamestown's long and episodic history has left many monuments and architectural masterpieces. The plan by government to construct a modern fishing harbor in the area has led to calls to ensure these historic monuments are not sacrificed for modern architecture.
Now, I chose an African child because, most of those who are adults who probably have made up their minds about themselves because they've been to schools and they've got some ideas in them that are difficult to change. Imagine that we want to write speeches and everybody wants to quote an American or a British or European leader who said it. So you ask yourself, what about the African leaders? Why don't we quote them? Why don't we research them? Why don't we find out about them? It's because we are lazy.
For the forts and castles, apart from the Cape Coast Castle and a few others, many are either poorly maintained or have been left to rot away. How many forts and castles does Ghana have?
We have 28 documented forts and castles that are listed as World Heritage Sites. All the 28, they were listed in various degree of conservations and states of conservation. At listing, some were fairly in good condition, some were in good condition, some were in partial ruins, and some were just listed as sites of memory because they were visible traces that the fort actually existed. For example, if you go to Fredericksburg, which is in Old Ningo, it was listed as a space with traces.
Let's go to the Volta region, Keta to be specific. This is Fort Presenstein, built by the Danish, located in Keta. It was used in the slave trade. Fort Presenstein lies east of the Volta River. The fort has been designated as a World Heritage Site. Fort Presenstein is almost lost due to the impact of the sea erosion.
Presenstein was listed as a facility fairly in good condition or partial ruins, but as we speak today, for several years there was a warning from the World Heritage based on their monitoring as to how we can prevent the defense wall, because the sea was gradually washing away part of it. But as it stands now, yes, part of it is remaining, and the remaining part too has been taken by sea, and the defense wall fortunately is constructed.
The Museums and Monuments Board is holding on to a thin line of hope that its fortunes will turn around.
We only hope that things will change, and that's the only hope we can have. But as to whether the institution itself and staff and management, whoever is have friends of the museum, everybody is worried that this is where we find ourselves. But hopefully, we are a very hopeful people. As the inertia for humanity to always surmount its problems is very, very high. I don't think staff of GMMB have lost that yet. So we're still hoping that things will change, and it will change quickly, and we'll see how this seeming identity crisis in which we come in, and the museum will play the desired role in letting us rediscovering who we really are as Ghanaians and inspiring us to want to achieve more.
It takes a long time to get to the point where these things have gone. If you take, for example, the establishing law or act or policy of the museum, this was way in the 60s. It hasn't seen any reform. And so the idea, the fact that the president has asked that we do a reform, and the committee with people like Professor Yensu and co in there, shows that everybody is concerned that we do something about this thing. So I'm quite hopeful. I mean, for example, in the discussions under the World Bank project, the Ghana Tourism Development Project, the museums and monuments has featured aggressively in it, and how we can improve, especially the National Gallery, which is closed down. I know it's almost complete.
Preservation of historic sites and monuments is important. They are part of our history. For Kojo Yankah, Ghana risks losing its identity if nothing is done to address the deteriorating state of museums and monuments.
We are losing so much, and it's my fear is that there will be time. Well, maybe we are even in that time already. Our children will only look out there for role models. It's sad.
As the saying goes, the more you know about the past, the better you are prepared for the future. But with the lack of commitment to preserve the nation's museums and monuments, our past is gradually fading away. The hope is that government will take concrete steps in order for Ghana not to lose the remaining edifices, which tells about where and how far we as a people have come. Alfred Okonsi, TV3, Accra.